Hello there people of Patreon, Myles here, and it's about time I bloody make this Q&A video. Now I know I asked you guys for questions over a month ago, and yeah, I'm sorry it's taken me so long to make this video. The truth is, I just haven't had a lot of free time in the past. Well, it's been pretty much 2 months. 2 months I've been working flat out. What little time I did have, 2 months ago I was making videos between sleeping and going to work, and then I went traveling for a bit and have been at work for how many hours? 72 hours this week so far, and I've just came off a night shift, so now I finally got a little bit of free time, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make that Q&A before I piss off all of you. So, rather than just reading out what the questions, I'm just going to say them out like this. So the first question that someone asked me is, are you people ever going to hear my, well, am I ever going to talk in my native accent, which is a smoggy accent? So I'm from the northeast of England, which is up near Newcastle, and yeah, people around here have a really strong accent. Now every now and again you might hear a little twang coming from me. For example, I say moor, poor, shopping, purple, bought, caught, I don't know anymore. There'll be loads more that I can't think of. Bath, grass, instead of grass, bath. I actually have to think about this. This is the weird thing. I have to think about saying these properly. So it's more, pour, boat, coat. See, that takes effort to do. And yeah, the short of the answer is no. You're probably not going to hear it because people really can't understand the northeast accent, and I've been putting this on for so long it's starting to stick. So the only time you'll ever really hear it is if you meet me in the pub and I'll have a few, and then suddenly all this smoggy will come out and it'll just be like, what the hell is he saying? What is this northern monkey saying? Next I was asked, is there any videos that I'd like to remake? And the answer is yes, pretty much all of them. All of them have faults, all of them. Some of them I think I just look fucking disgusting in. I think, wow, what a greasy mess you look, Myles. How did you not notice this? Some of them, the pacing is not fantastic. There's a few bits where they could be stronger. So in short, all of them. When I publish a video, I often look back and think, oh no, on all of them actually I think, oh no, I could have done that better, especially when I look back further and further and further. I mean, I started this back in 2010, so that's quite a long time ago, and the videos then were essentially just me in a point and click camera. I had no real expertise, and they're just awful. The sound, the audio is awful, which is the most important thing when making YouTube videos. It's not to have crystal clear visuals, it's to have perfect audio. My audio there is terrible. There's also a load of mistakes. So in closing, I wish I could remake them all. In fact, a lot of people recently have been asking me to remake the 9/11 videos that are very popular but are also really outdated, and some people think I'm being a bit too mean in them. So I've actually agreed to do that, and I'm going to be making them over the next year. Over the next year, because I'm going to release it in one go in a year or so. It's one huge video that will be up to date, contain more information, and will look better, hopefully. Next, someone's saying that I shouldn't really concentrate my effort on doing videos on silly people like the chemtrail people. Instead, don't forget about the anti-vaxxers and the anti-GMO crowd, because those people are doing real harm. And I agree, those people are really hurting people. They are. I think they're doing that. Now, yeah, it's right. A lot of people have said this to me, said that, this chemtrail stuff is low-hanging fruit. Maybe you shouldn't do it. But it's something that I find absolutely fascinating. I find interesting, and I don't think there's enough content online to explain it and to see these people and what they think. Now, don't get me wrong. These, I know, are fun videos I like to make, but I am also on the things that you don't see. I am working on bigger projects, which deal with stuff that is about people getting hurt and may hopefully help people in the future. So don't worry, not all my effort is going into this low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to turn into one of those boring YouTubers who, I don't know, talks about the flat Earth conspiracy for the millionth time, because that's all they're intellectually capable of doing. No, I'm gonna go after the big stuff as well. Don't worry. I'm not going to go after just boring, silly stuff. Okay, next I was asked what pseudoscience makes me the most anxious or the most angry, and I've thought about this one for a while, and the truth is there's not one specific thing that gets me angry or anxious, but there is something that does. And that is if these pseudoscience procedures are performed on either, well, children, adults who can't consent, or animals. It really tweaks a switch with me. I just lose it and I get really angry. I get really angry with people in the real life. Like when I talk to people in the real world, I don't mention that I do this. This has been quite secret for a while. Unfortunately, my employees have told everyone now, so everyone's having a look online and having a laugh. But usually I keep this secret. I don't mention it to people in the bar, and so when someone talks about some such and such, I usually be like, okay, we know that's wrong, but I won't really get into it. As soon as they mention, say, hey, you should do this on my kid, and then I lose it. In fact, there was one video that I made a few years ago about Dr. Bob. You remember the chiropractor guy who was recommending doing adjustments to babies, like literal babies, not like kids, I'm talking babies. And I lost it on camera a little bit, lost it for me at least. I called him a very unpleasant name, and I was pointing at the camera. I was being like, this guy needs to be in prison, yada yada yada. And I saw the footage afterwards, and I was like, no, I need to edit that out right now, because one, it's not professional. That's not the right word, but it's not good seeing me lose it for a bit, and also it'll take away from the actual video. So if I make great points for 90% of the video, and then the last 10% is me just being like, you're an effing blah, 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 then they're just going to concentrate on that bit and then just say, oh, this guy's just a wanker online. So I actually edited that out, and that's why there's a harsh edit mid-sentence in that video that I tried to cover, but I didn't because I wasn't very good at editing back then. But yeah, animals, kids, people who can't consent, so like old people suffering from dementia or what have you, it just really tweaks me, really upsets me. Next, some chap called Michael has decided to ask me 1,000,001 questions. Thanks, Mike. So hopefully I'm going to get through these. Now, first of all, you asked me why did I become a scientist, but you said specifically a chemist, as if there's anything wrong with that. It's not a very interesting story. It's not a very uplifting or crescendoing kind of awesome story. It's a bit of a dud. Essentially, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an electrician, then I wanted to be an engineer, and then for a long time I wanted to be a graphic designer and some kind of artist. In fact, I did an A-level in art, and I spent all my time doing that. I spent all my time drawing, and I had my own unique style. Some people didn't like it, I liked it. And then it came to applying for university or college, or what am I going to do for the rest of my life. And I was 17 years old at the time, and I remember talking to my mum, and she was like, okay, art college, right? That's what you want to do? I was like, yep. And then for a week I was thinking, is this really something that I want to do? Do I want to do essentially my hobby for the rest of my life? Is there a career there? What are the wages in this industry? How good is it to swap to different jobs? I was thinking about this as a 17-year-old, and I thought maybe this isn't the path I want to go down. I was like, well, what else can I do? And I thought, well, I do like science. I'm doing chemistry A-level as well, and physics A-level. I've always liked science. I've always had really high grades in it. Why don't I look into that? And so I did, and I thought, you know what, yeah, this is where I want to go. I want to go something where I'm doing something physical again, because I'm very much a hands-on kind of person. And I did it. I changed my UCAS application in the 11th hour. On the 11th hour. In fact, my CV or cover letter, whatever, was actually written for an art college, and I just changed bits and bobs. So it was very much written for an art college, and I sent it off, and I got accepted to Manchester. That's the story. It's not a very it's probably not a very interesting one, nor is it one that's gonna get people to go into science, but it's what happened to me. Okay, next you ask, is there any kind of rituals or superstitions that I have? And no, even as a kid, you ask as a kid, did I do that? And the answer is no. It wasn't because I was super skeptical. It wasn't because it wasn't because I was very smart as a kid. I wasn't. It wasn't anything particularly interesting. The reason why I didn't fall for any of this kind of crap when I was younger is because the young Myles, quite frankly, just didn't give a flip. This whole anti-vax thing, didn't care, didn't affect me. Why should I care about it? This whole GMO thing, didn't care about it. I was eating whatever was put in front of me. I just did not care. 9/11 conspiracies didn't faze me. Didn't bother with it. And that's probably why I never had any of them. It was not that I was lazy, I just did not care. When it comes to superstitions, not really. I occasionally touch wood. That's kind of a thing at work, where things are going well, you go touch wood. But that's just become a bit of the crowd over there. Superstition. I was raised Catholic. Does that count? So family, grandparents, and them are from Ireland and Scotland and wherever, and they came to Middlesbrough. Why? And so it was very important that I was raised Catholic, went to Catholic school. Even then, as a kid, didn't believe in it. And I remember being 6, 7, 8 years old, talking to the kids, and none of them believed it either. But if I ever were to get married, would I want a Catholic wedding? I don't know. It's kind of weirdly engraved into me, like it's there. And a Catholic funeral. I don't know if I could. I don't know. Cross that bridge when it comes to it. Next, you want to know, what do I specialise in, and what are my hobbies other than collecting woo, and do I like video games? So, what do I specialise in? The truth is, nothing at the moment. I did, obviously when I was at university, I specialised in, it was kind of like fake DNA templating and abiogenesis. It wasn't really abiogenesis, but you kind of transfer it over to that. And just organic synthesis, really. Now it's moved away, and now I'm essentially a jack of all trades. I can do a lot of analytical stuff. I can work in the labs, do a lot of synthesis lab scale. Then I can also do just look after chemical plants and the people. So it's a bit of jack of all. So I'm a master of none. I'm not a specialist anymore. When it comes to hobbies, my favourite hobby is it a hobby? My favourite thing to do. I love to travel. I absolutely love it. I'm trying to visit as many places as I can before I die, which sounds very morbid, but it's true. This time last week I was at home, but a week and a bit ago I was in India, so I just came back from there. Had a fantastic time in the whole north of India, saw a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting things. I think one thing that really I got from the bottom of that, and this probably isn't very PC to say, is how grateful I am to live in the UK. There's no safety net for people in India, and I think their quality of life is not as good as over here. And I saw a lot of things that were very upsetting. I mean, don't get me wrong, sorry, it wasn't all doom and gloom. I had a fantastic time, saw some really interesting things, met some absolutely fantastic people, ate some really good food, but there was like a rough side to it. And like I said, with animals, I don't like to see animals suffering. There was a lot of stray dogs, and there's a lot of cows everywhere that weren't very well. Sorry, I'm making it sound like it was awful. It wasn't. It was an absolutely amazing time there. So yeah, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, going travelling. So yeah, I go travel as much as I can. Before then, the month before, I was in Vietnam. Travel from north to south. I've also done a fair bit of Southeast Asia, so Cambodia and a lot of Thailand. I'm just trying to see as much of the planet as possible, and talk to as many people before I die, and do as many things as I can. I spend all my money pretty much on travelling. I don't really have that many things. I know it seems flashy with all this kind of stuff here, but in all honesty, I don't. A lot of people spend their money like drinking down the pub and doing X, Y, and Z. And although I do go to the pub, I don't spend an absolute fortune. I mean, you hear people go out and say, "Oh, I spent like 150 quid last night, mate, didn't I?" You're like, "Oh, bloody hell." Please ignore the ambulance that's about to go past my room as well. I live near a hospital, so that's what that is. But no, I save all my money, and I try and go away as much as I can. So this year alone, Vietnam, India, Germany, Amsterdam, France. Again, ignore it. Come past even. Doppler effect. Wait for it. Oh, it's still there. There you go. Yay, science. So yeah, travelling. And to anyone out there who hasn't seen much of the world, honestly, just get out there, just do it. It changes who you are. You have a better appreciation of everything around you, and it's cracking. It's cracking. Get out there. When it comes to playing video games, yeah, I've got a fair few consoles over in the room over there, all second hand from Kex. I've recently discovered them now. I've had a Xbox 360 for some time now, but essentially it was a glorified AVI player. Not that I suggest that you should play AVI movies, but I used to do that, and that's all I used to use it for. And now I've discovered that it plays games. See, working shifts means that I have sometimes I can have times where I'm just on my own for a fair few hours and there's nothing to do. So I've gotten into video games quite a bit. And my favourite ones, I don't have a favourite one. The best ones I've played recently, I love Tomb Raider 2013. That was a really good one. I really got into that. I was really surprised how much that I liked it. I've never played a Tomb Raider game before. I love the Bioshocks, not Bioshock 2, but Bioshock 1 and 3, Infinite. They were really good. I love just the visuals. I mean, that's one thing about video games. One thing that I'll pick in a video game, which is is very shallow, is the visuals. If a video game looks really interesting, I'll buy it. And usually they can be quite cheap. So I've got, what do they call the running game? The running game where it's all white and you can see like red and Mirror's Edge. I mean, I got that. That's like 50p, and I really liked it because I thought it looked fantastic. I'm playing Wind Waker at the moment, which I think looks really good, especially considering it came out in 2002. Other games I like, Bayonetta. Oh my god, I've recently played Bayonetta, and it is amazing. The game itself, yeah, it's all right. It'd be nothing without the protagonist. She is just fantastic. It's over the top. It's just fun. It's a really fun game, and I've actually convinced some other people to try it, and now they've got it and they absolutely love it and completed it. It's just great, and there's a dance at the end, just absolutely amazing. Next you ask, is Myles coming back now? He was the other version of me with black eyes. I thought it was a cool idea. It's probably not a cool idea now that I'm 32. Yeah, I have to do a correction video soon. I've made a lot of mistakes, and they need correcting. None of them are huge. None of them are like, my god, I need to pull this video and remake it. They're just little things like accidentally putting the wrong picture of someone somewhere, quoting a wrong paper. But they're all corrected in the underbar. But yeah, I need to make another video. Next, you asked me about would I, why no research anymore, and would I jump in to be a professional, I guess, YouTuber or professional debunker of crap? No research anymore because I can't find a job in research that pays well or that would hire me. Things are hard out there in science in the UK, something that's not often talked about from other people who promote science, because quite frankly they don't know. They're all fucking university undergrads who don't have a clue what they're talking about. Oh, come into science, it's great, all these jobs are there for you. They're not. And what were we talking about? Oh yeah, would I become a professional? Sorry about my squeaky chair. This is annoying. This is really, when I do podcasts, this really gets on people's tits. Would I do it professionally? You'd have to pay me a lot. So I would love to do it. I'd love to own my own company and do this, but quite frankly, my career at the moment is doing all right, and I don't think I could make similar amounts of money, and the problem as well is if you're out of my career for so long, you begin to forget things and you go rusty, and then that makes you very unemployable in the future. So it would be if I were to go down the route of doing this full time, it would probably be forever, and it would actually negatively impact me if I tried to go back on to do what I do again now. So the answer is no. I would love to do it. Part of me thinks every now and again, like, should I just quit? Should I just do this full time? I've got so many ideas, things I want to do. I've got a board down there with a load of list of videos. I've got like videos to make, I've got things to write blogs on, and I've got one that says things to research possible blogs. And they're all full. There's huge of them. I've got so many things I want to cover, mainly because people send me stuff and there's just not enough time in the day. And I have thought, wouldn't it be great? But in reality, I love what I do job-wise. It's really interesting, it's fun, it's exciting, it's dangerous, it's everything. It's cool. Anyway, Michael, that's your name, you asked that question. I finally finished it. I hope you're grateful. Yes, so many bloody questions you did. Okay, next one I should probably read out. It says, I have a friend who sees a doctor, in quotes. I can't get the details as to whether it's a osteopath or what, blah, 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 blah. But they carry their own line of vitamins and supplements and sell their own vitamin B shots. I tried to tell her, at least here in the US, anyone who sells their own products is inflamed prices is a red flag to me. Basically, this person is asking, are you being overly suspicious? What do you think? No, I think you're right to be suspicious. If you go to any kind of medical professional and they are trying to promote products to you, their products, then that's always a bit dodge. You can just say, no, I don't want that. But at the same time, I'm got enough information. Also, I'm not a doctor or a medic, so if I were you, probably the best thing to do is just talk to your friend and sit them down and just say, hey, this is what I'm worried about. You sure you want to go to this person? They may not have your best interests, yada yada, if you're worried. I don't know about the subject, so I'm sorry I can't answer that one. Next, someone says, is there any topics that I wouldn't touch? And there's both yes and no to this question. No, nothing is off the table. You know, I do this myself. I'm a one-man army, so I've got no one saying, no, you can't make that. That's a bit too sensitive. I can do anything I want to. But the answer is, at the same time, there is stuff that I wouldn't make videos on. And that's because I think I've seen other YouTube channels kind of go for low-hanging fruit and go down certain paths when originally they were debunking and science and all this kind of stuff, and then they've kind of moved away to different areas, and it's all just bland and boring. It's all the same thing over and over again. Like, I do subscribe to a fair amount of people who would call themselves, who are classed as the skeptical community. And some of them are great. Some of them still make a really good content. I really like them. But others, they just make the same video, and you can tell if anything happens, they all just make the same thing. They all just have their own opinion on it. It's not new. It's not original. And I feel some of them, well, I know because I've talked to some of them, I know that some of them feel trapped by their audience. They feel that they have to make this content because now they have this audience that expects it. If they want to do the videos that they want to do, they may lose them, or they may not get the views that they need to, you know, sustain themselves. So that's, well, I'm going off on a tangent here, aren't I? What I'm saying is basically I wouldn't want to do any videos that I consider to be boring, or I would go down, that have been done a million times, or down certain routes. Like, it's very popular to make videos on feminism. In fact, I get emails quite often saying, can you double check this? And I think, well, it's already been done a million times. Do you really want me to do it? And plus, I think social things, human interactions, it's not really my forte, is it really? So I would be no good talking about these kind of things. I mean, every now and again I talk about it on League of Nerds. In fact, we have a League of Nerds podcast coming out soon on Gamergate. We've been wanting to talk about it for a while, and we finally got someone interesting to come and talk about it and bring a very interesting take on it. Someone who actually works in the games industry. And yeah, so anyway, I don't really want to talk about any of that kind of stuff. It's really boring. Is there anything else I wouldn't talk about? No. Everything's fair game. Everything is fair game, and everything should be equal. Just, I don't want to make boring content. That's the only thing stopping me. Same person asked me, did I ever stumble upon claims on the other side and go, that's interesting. And the truth is, no. Yeah, no, there we go. Question answered. No, the truth is that I really try and delve deep into the people I'm critiquing. I want to know more than just what they think. I want to know why they think it, what has led them to believe what they believe, and that's what I find really interesting. That's why I have a bookshelf full of woo and crap, because they tell a much deeper story. There has been stuff that I've been like, that's interesting, I wonder where they've got that from. Then I've actually went and found out where it's from, or did the research on it, or, you know, come to the end, and I've never, no, in short, no, I've never came across something where I've thought they've got a point there. And that's regarding the very black and white that can drive things. So GMO safety, vaccine safety, and by the way, I'm not saying these things are 100%. Genetically modifying something is too, like I always say. Vaccines obviously carry a risk, but I've never found anything science-based that I've been like, that's interesting, that I haven't I haven't been able to explain away. When it comes to more social things and human interactions, then yeah, I can kind of see that. About specific companies or people, governments not doing things properly or not getting the information out there in the correct manner, yeah, I can kind of see that. And that's why it's really important, again, to understand the people you're critiquing, not to just have them as some kind of caricature, and to really get behind their motivation. And it's important because it's so, I see it so many times. I feel like I'm just bitching about people now. I see it so many times where people just make bland videos where they just have a person talking, they have their own opinion over like a specific sentence, and they never delve any deeper. And usually that story is far more interesting. I mean, take for example, okay, an example. So I had that review on Miranda's Marvelous Measles, Melissa's, I can't remember. Anyway, and it was a book that was promoting kids to get measles, which is truly awful because kids can die from measles, people can die from measles. And at first glance, it just seems like a really stupid book by a horrible person. Like, why would you do this? It's horrible. When you dig deeper, you find out that she lost a child, a son, and she believed it was the vaccines that caused it. And then you get this whole backstory, and then you can explain where these people are coming from. And then you can also go into, you can explain to the people who are skeptical of this in the first place and be like, well, this is why she came from. You know, you don't have to be too harsh from it. And the people who are maybe believe her would then get this story of, oh, this kind of explains where she's coming from. And, you know, yeah, it's important anyway. I'm mumbling. I mumble so badly in bloody squeaky chair as well. I just go off on one. So apologies if this is really boring people of the internet. God, Seth, how many bloody questions have you got here? I'm counting 3 huge bloody questions, Seth. Okay, so the first question that Seth is asking me is about science educators, and asking me what do I think about them, and if I think they should do more to warn people about the dangers of pseudoscience, and I guess teach people how to, you know, what am I trying to say? How to see that something's a load of bollocks, basically. The truth is that I'm an old man, and it's been a long, long time since I've been in school, so I don't know what they do in schools. I know a couple of my teacher friends, they do have a critical thinking class, where that I think is absolutely fantastic. I honestly think that schools should, and this is, I mean, I'm not a teacher, I'm out of the loop, I don't know any about this, but I think schools should really do more hands-on real-world stuff than like back in my day when it was just lectures on certain subjects. So I think there should be a critical thinking class. I think there should be like practical classes on what to do when you're an adult. I would have loved a class on how to pay rent, like when I was a kid, like, because like doing that for the first time, 18 years old, and just being like, what am I doing here? I haven't got a clue. That would be great. But what can they do more? I'm not really sure. Maybe be more vocal, but they are. That's a great thing. Science outreach is becoming a really big thing now, and it's really cool that's happening. Science is becoming sexy and cool, but at the same time, a lot of people don't want to dig any deeper, and they are still stuck with these weird dogmatic views. And we really need people to say no, that's bollocks, and to be fairly strong about it. So a perfect example is with the GMO stuff that I've been doing recently. I made that video. I was shocked at how some people were not happy with my talk at Skeptics in the Pub events. I saw at the March for Science thing that was going around a few months ago, people from organisations who fucking hate GMOs who were saying, oh, climate change is real, all these scientists are saying this, but then will say that GMOs are harmful and dangerous. These people like promote saying, oh, 97% of scientists, so it's a lot anyway, think that climate change is made by humans, something like that, and like, oh, you can't ignore these scientists, but that's nothing compared to the consensus on the safety of GMOs, and yet they won't listen to it. So there's a lot of people who I'm worried are just seeing this as a fad, a cool fad, but yeah. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Shorthand, I don't know. Next, you're asking me about bias in publications, and you've given me a few chapters to read, and the shorthand is I don't know how to correct this problem. So this is papers that, you know, the person who's writing it, what their own personal views seep into it, and it is a real problem, but that is what it is to be human. humans are not robots, and whether they're aware of it or not, some people do let their bias sneak into the papers they are publishing, and it's a real problem. The truth is, I don't know how to stop it. I'm sorry, I'm useless at these Q&As. Now this one, your final one, is actually a good point. I'm going to read it out. One of the most insidious things in this area is MDs, PhDs are straying away from science, yet legitimizing the claims thanks to their titles. How do we get people to respect individuals with those titles, whilst also getting them to realize merely being a medical doctor doesn't mean they're accurate or trustworthy? That is a really, really good point. And it's something that I hear over and over and over and over again. You know, this doctor says that vaccines are terrible, and you think just the number of doctors out there. It's a hard one, because how do you shut up internet? It's a hard one because how do you get that across? I think the way that I've done it is I've never really talked about my qualifications or who I am really. I mean, I've done these a little bit, but I've kind of really pushed home the fact that it doesn't matter what your initials are, the letters are behind your name is. It just matters on your claims, and for a lot of people, they just can't get past that, and it is a serious problem, and I just don't know how to get around it, because it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, and people are just lazy. They just think that that's a good enough response. Oh, but doctors say this. It doesn't matter how much effort and data you're putting forward. If some doctors say this, or perfect example is people who tell me, people who say on my 9/11 videos, oh, do you think you're smarter than like the thousands of architects and engineers who say that this was an inside job and give all the evidence? I'm like, well, yeah. Yeah, and it's just a hard one for people to grasp, because it doesn't. So some people, how's that? But yeah, anyway, no, you're right. I don't know, and it's frustrating, and it's a hard one. It just seems to be for people who don't, because some of this stuff is very hard to grasp, and it takes a lot of data, it takes a lot of time and effort to get your head around it, and I can understand why going for the simple option, the easy option of saying, oh, well, these doctors believe this, it seems it's stopping them from doing the hard work themselves. Again, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I just have not been able to answer any one of your questions. Apologies. Okay, next one. Sally is asking about adverts here in the UK. Now she's saying over in America there was an advert saying that, hey, have you been in contact with Monsanto's Roundup? Then contact us, because it may be responsible for your non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. We kind of do, but they're not as intense or as just blatant. We have personal injury lawyers. Like, if you've been injured at work and it wasn't your fault, or yada yada, call us now, no win, no fee. We do kind of have that, but it's nowhere near as targeted, I guess. We did have some stuff for PPI, which is this banking thing, but the truth is I don't watch that much TV anymore, so I don't know. And all these adverts tend to run on the shitier channels. So you don't get adverts on BBC One or BBC Two. Channel 3, ITV, tends to have a fair few of them, and 5. 4 every now and again. But yeah, they're not as widespread, I wouldn't say. So when I lived over in America and I watched TV, there was a lot of them. You've also got adverts for medication, which is weird. Ask your doctor about blah blah blah, hydroxyphosphate. That is weird. Yeah, so in short, we do, but they're not as intense, and they tend to be more broader. So they don't say, hey, your non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was caused by this. They'll be like, have you been injured at work? Yeah, there's no chemical ones. Yeah, I'm mumbling again, sorry. Matthew asks, Parmo or pizza, as if there was ever going to be an option. Parmo? Of course, I'm from Borough, so Parmo is my people's native dish. It is essentially schnitzel, I suppose, a chicken flattened out with breadcrumbs, with bechamel sauce, and cheese on top. Then, if you like me, garlic sauce, bit of chips, red cabbage on the side. Oh, glorious. It's probably why I'm getting so fat, though. Next question, and I think it's another one I'm going to read. Do you ever get letters from people who you've convinced away from pseudoscience? Can you tell us some nice ones? I do. I I do. I don't talk about them much because I think they're bragging if I were to do that. But I do. I have met some people, and it's really nice. It's nice to see that this stupid hobby that I do has helped a fair few people, and it's helped people turn themselves around. I can't really tell you any of them. Sorry. The reason is because these people have contacted me in private, and I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about them. But a lot of people, I can hint them. So some people have said that they, with certain conspiracies and what have you, they were feeling very anxious and had anxiety problems, and they were feeling despair, and some of them were feeling suicidal, and they watched a few of my things, and then suddenly it kind of felt better. It wasn't the catalyst, it wasn't the one thing, but it was helping on their own healing. I've had people who've said that they've given my videos to loved ones who were ill and dying, and they were doing some kind of quack stuff, and they changed their mind. It wasn't fast enough to prevent them from dying. I mean, they were always going to die, but it meant that they lived a bit longer when they went back on meds. I've had videos from people saying, not videos, sorry, messages from people saying that, well, yeah, I can't really go into details. I really can't. But they are there, and every time I get one, I try. Every time I find one, because it's really difficult to keep hold of all this social media and all these bloody comments. But every time I find one, I try and reply to it. And it does feel good, but it's at the same time, it's really sad that these people were in that position at the first place, and I'm glad that I've done my little bit to kind of help out. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting all pretentious now, aren't I? Getting all big, it's all about my YouTube channel, look how amazing I am, blah 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 blah. No, that's not the case. I don't want it to be like that. This is a hobby that has been shown to help people out, which is grand. Anywho, so that's enough of me rambling on for now. Apologies again for this taking so long. I've just been so busy, and I plan to make more in the future, and to spend more attention on you Patreon people, because you guys are really helping me out. You help me buy stuff like this ring light and this camera and this laptop after my other laptop died on me. And to help this got snazzy stuff recently, so this has got an update of RAM, and it's running super expensive software, which makes the thing look super cool now. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you for supporting me and for being awesome. For those of you in the top tier thing, I've sent you some stuff recently over the last few months, so hopefully you've been enjoying that. I've sent you all random different things, so you've all got... some of you have got different things, so hopefully you're all enjoying them. Anyway, I'm going to go. So thanks again, Internet. Sorry for being rambling. That's probably why I don't do that many Q&As, because I just ramble and my answers are not really that interesting. So apologies there. But anyway, I'm going to go. So you take care, you lovely, fascinating people, and I'll see you later.